Hello everyone, I am the Minted Kirby, and welcome to my channel, the Commander Tavern. The Commander Tavern is a channel dedicated to my favorite Magic the Gathering format. Commander Cube Draft is a new mini-series where I'm going to be talking about everything Cube Draft but related specifically to the Commander format. Throughout this series, I'm going to be explaining the process behind how I brewed my own Commander Cube as well as pointers on how to build your own. I'll also be reviewing and analyzing many topics and aspects when it comes to building your own cube. So in preparation for Commander Legends, the first Commander product designed to be drafted, I decided to begin this mini-series that will hopefully come to a conclusion after my Commander Legends episode of a flight after the set gets entirely spoiled. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by using my TCG Player affiliate link when buying cards through their website. Just follow the link in the description. However, you can really help out the channel with my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to scheduled videos on YouTube, and higher tier patrons get access to the VIP section of my Discord server. You can find both of those links down in the description too. Alright, let's get back to the episode. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. What is a cube? A cube is a pool of cards from where you draft packs as you would in a normal draft setting. However, the packs being drafted are built from the cards from within a cube and not actual sealed booster pack products. This gives the curator of that cube the freedom of building the cube out of whatever the cards they want. Naturally, this can be quite the daunting task, but it's also quite rewarding when accomplished. Now, as far as Commander goes, the challenge is even harder. When you build a normal cube, unless it's comprised of cards from the card pool of any given format, you're essentially building 40 card decks with whatever you drafted. But Commander is a 100 card singleton format where you have a commander in the command zone and the deck has to follow color identity restrictions. This is not that viable with the standard way of building cubes. Fortunately though, there are similarities between building a regular cube and building a Commander cube, at least in the sense that you can give support for various archetypes such as stacks, aggro, mid-range, tokens, control, etc. However, with a Commander cube, you can also give support to the Voltron archetype. In fact, when designing your cube, you should keep this in mind when choosing the potential commanders for it, since you want to be able to not only build decks that can function in the bare minimum, but also decks that are viable and well constructed as well as fun. As for myself, players have had no issue building decks from their draft pool. They didn't have problems getting a commander to build around as well as drafting enough cards and mana fixing lands to build a functioning deck after the draft. That is because of the way I designed my cube. I don't want to say it's in its final version since a cube is an ever-changing thing, but for the moment it's where I want it to be. I just update it every now and again with cards from new sets and products, but that's something I can get into later. Now, you don't have to build your own Commander cube the same way I built mine, but I am going to strongly suggest anyone else to draft your cube in a way similar to mine. This solves a lot of potential problems that can arise from drafting a Commander cube out of a homogeneous pool of cards. So let's see how my Commander cube is drafted. Every pack drafted in my cube has 20 cards, and 5 packs are drafted any given session in order to maximize a player's option as much as possible. Additionally, in order to guarantee a player can build a functional deck from their pool, the cube is drafted in 3 stages. In the first stage, players receive a 20 card booster comprised only of potential commanders, so any legendary creature or card that can be your commander is included in these boosters. This way, players can not only draft a commander they want to build around, but will also have 19 cards in their draft pool that can then be used in their 99 if they don't want any of those other ones as their commander. Afterwards, in the second stage, players draft 3 more 20 card boosters containing spells, utility lands, and other cards for them to add to their card pool from which they can construct the rest of their deck along with the previously mentioned cards from the first booster. These boosters will not contain any legendary creatures or cards that can be your commander since those cards are only drafted in the first stage. So far, players should have drafted 80 cards that can be used to build their decks. In the third and final stage, players draft the 5th and final pack, which is a 20 card booster only containing mana fixing lands. This means that players will draft lands that don't have any other abilities that isn't tapping for mana or being sacrificed to find a land. Drafting these lands help players be able to have the mana needed to build their deck. After the draft is completed, players will then be able to choose any number of basic lands they need from an indefinite supply and thus build their decks. What are the benefits of drafting a Commander cube this way? For one thing, players will always have 20 potential commanders to choose from. This takes away any pressure of having to always top pick any legendary creature or commander from a booster pack that also contains spells and lands. So a player's top picks in the first stage is usually the commander they'd most want to build around. Every other card from that first stage can then be used as one of the 99 in their deck, simultaneously providing them strong cards for their deck. Also, once a player has chosen their potential commanders first from whatever they decided in that first stage, they can then draft cards from each following stage pertaining to their commander's color identity. This helps in making it easier for players to pick their cards based on their commander's strategy as well as its colors. The final stage, having only mana-fixing lands, is also a benefit to a player in the sense that they don't have to pick mana-fixing lands from a booster that also contains spells and commanders. Thus, having the cube divided in 3 stages makes it so players can focus on choosing a commander and mana-fixing lands without sacrificing any picks from spells and other cards they might want, just because you need a commander to build a deck and you might need to use a pick for a mana-fixing land if you have a multicolored commander, thus depriving you of a good pick from that booster. So separating the cube in stages is the best way to have players focus on different aspects of deck building. Another thing I do with my cube draft, besides separating the process in 3 stages, is that the boosters for the second stage are seeded as far as colors are concerned. Each booster contains 3 white, 3 blue, 3 black, 3 red, and 3 green cards. By color, I'm referring to the color identity, and either 3 colorless and 2 multicolored cards, or 2 colorless and 3 multicolored cards. So in each draft round of the second stage, there are a total of 12 monocolored cards drafted, as well as 10 colorless and 10 multicolored cards. This makes it easier for players to have a balanced draft where they can have the opportunity to draft cards amongst their potential commander's color identity. There is a possibility of drafting cards outside of your commander's color identity because that sort of thing is inevitable. However, just like with any kind of draft, any cards not used in your deck remain in your sideboard, so you are restricted to maintain your deck's color identity once you decide on which commander you're going to build your deck with. That being said, since you have a sideboard after drafting, any wish effects will thus refer to any card you have in your sideboard, regardless of color identity. That's what I do in my cube at least, but that's a topic for another video. Alright, so let me show you my cube in action. I keep and maintain my cubes info in an Excel book, but I also do so on Cube Cobra. CubeCobra.com is possibly one of the best sites I've come across for cubes, so if you have a chance to, I definitely suggest you check it out. With the way my cube is built, I have each stage of the draft process divided into 3 quote-unquote cubes. One for the possible commanders, one for the meat of the deck, and one for the mana-fixing lands. I will put links in the description for anyone interested in seeing the current version of my commander cube. I will eventually make a video explaining the choices I've made for how I built my cube, what I put in it, my philosophy behind it, etc. near the end of this mini-series. So if you like this kind of stuff, stay tuned for future episodes of it. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, here's my profile on Cube Cobra. Notice I have my 3 sections, the 3 stages of my cube in different cubes, quote unquote, but that's because my cube is separated in these 3 sections. Now I'm going to do this part of the video a bit freestyle and not as scripted, so that you guys can see in real time more or less how it is that you would draft my cube. So my cube has 1,000 cards in it. Of those 1,000 cards, 160 of them are potential commanders, 80 are the mana-fixing lands, and then you have 760 cards that will make up the bulk of that deck. Now, what's great about having this cube this size is that each draft session is going to be entirely different from the next one. If we're only drafting 80 commanders in each round, in each time we play the game, then notice that there are 80 that aren't used, but then if it's shuffled up for the next round, we might have some that were repeated, but then some that are new. So it's always going to be a different experience. As for mana-fixing lands, since they're so important, all of the lands are drafted every single session because they're pretty much balanced so that every color identity can have the opportunity of building the solid mana base. Now the 760 card deck building part of the cube, that's where all your creatures, your spells, instants, all those things are pertain. So here we can see more or less an overview of all the commanders here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small draft so you guys can see what happens. Here is a visual spoiler of the 760 cards in the cube, and here's the mana base. So when the links you see in the description, you'll be able to see these no problem. So I'm just going to show you more or less how it is that you would draft my cube. So let's play test this very quickly. So notice here, the number of packs, there's only 1 because it is a 20 card pack for each draft, and then there are 4 seats. In the future, I do plan to try and boost it up to a 1,080 card cube so that I can have 8 people drafted and then have all of the commanders drafted, all 160 lands drafted, because I would have to put 80 more, and then the rest drafted among them to really have a solid experience to make it easier to build monocolored commanders or dual colored commanders. In any case, so far I've drafted it with 4 people, 20 cards per pack, and 1 per pack. So let's start and see what we could do. Alright, so we have some nice picks here. Timmy is a very powerful card. I would probably pick this first, but let's see what else we have. So notice we have Prime Speaker's Vanifar, also pretty powerful. Alapalani, Sun Quan, Lord of Wu, very strong command legend, which makes our creatures basically unblockable since they have horsemanship. Italia, strong card. Here we have Damia, which is a strong card. Now, for the moment, Timmy having such a powerful effect, I'll probably pick this one first and then worry about color identity next. Notice also we have another strong contender here with Richard Garfield. That would make any zero-costed artifact basically a Mox. But let's see what else we can do. I want something with green since I want to abuse Timmy. So Breya, even though she's going to provide me with 4 colors, might not be something I'll do. Same with Marquesa, very strong commander, but that's not one I want to have because I'm working with green. Now, since we're going to be creature-based, I might try and work around Momorvig, or maybe Kresh, the Blood-Braided, and work around something that has to do with lots of sacrifice or things like that. Now, Ilharg has a similar effect to Timmy, since whenever it attacks, I could put a creature on the board. So I'm going to risk it and pick it first, and hopefully I can get another commander that has green and red in its commander identity, similar to Kresh, or maybe I might get Kresh back around as the picks go around. Alright, so here perfectly, I can choose either between Yidris Maelstrom Wielder or Kinaios Anterior of Meletis. Since they both have green, they have red, but then they have the blue also. So I might risk keeping any of these two, and build a really strong aggro deck where I can cheat in strong, powerful creatures and then use them to go into the red zone and attack everyone if I manage to pick Sun Quan. So I'm going to risk it, and I am going to go with Kinaios Anterior of Meletis, just because they can also help me ramp, which is this. Now, Yidris also helps me cheat spells in the sense that I can cascade into them, but unfortunately, if I want to cheat spells into the battlefield with Ilharg and with Timmy, it's not going to be that easy to cascade into anything in my deck because the expensive cards are going to be sent to the bottom, those beefy creatures particularly that I want to cheat, and if I do hard cast any big creature, I might whiff into something really small. So for the moment, if I want to build this really stompy deck, I'll go with the Meletis Kings. Oh, here we also have 1996 World Champion, which isn't that good as a commander, but I can put it in the middle of the deck if I want to have a Reanimator to really shuffle everything down there. Or I can have it as a commander as well, because every single opponent I one-shot can be sent back. But let's see what else I can build. I have Moto also, but that doesn't really help. But these are also potential cards that other players can have. Kiki-Jiki would be great in copying a huge creature that I managed to put on the board. So Kiki-Jiki would be a good pick. Kenrith also. Yarok would be good if I wouldn't have been playing red. But for the moment, let's pick Kiki-Jiki to have a solid deck. Unfortunately, Sun Quan was picked, which is what I wanted to have for myself. I can still have Maelstrom Wanderer, which would give all my fatties haste, and it is big in and of itself. And it's in the colors of Kinaios Antido, so I can probably get this one. Or Atlapalani to also cheat in the big creatures from my deck. So, Atlapalani I think would be stronger for this case than Maelstrom Wanderer, since it is a fatty, and people might not want to pick this one before they pick Atlapalani. So I'll pick this one. So this is more or less the reasoning that you can do when picking cards for your cube. So notice I'm already banking on keeping Kinaios Anterior of Meletis as my commander, and these cards I'm picking afterwards are to really help the deck out in what I want to do. So basically what I want to do with this deck is cheat in things, cheat casting costs, and really dig through the deck and have stompy creatures. So I'm also going to pick Yisan, which would get creatures onto the battlefield, but I'll go with Momorvig since I can get creatures every time I cast my commander. So for the rest of this, I'll just pick cards and then more or less give my reasoning later on. So I'm going to pick Thassa to make my fatties unblockable. Yashmi also makes me cheat things more or less, but I would have to hard cast them. So that would be a good pick. So I'm caught between Rashmi and Thassa, but Thassa lets me also look at the top card of my library, so I'm going to choose that one. Brago might also let me not have to put the cards back into my hand because Ilharg has them returned to my hand at the beginning of my end step. But if I blink them with Brago, that might be the case, so Brago would be a good inclusion here. Let's see what else. Maelstrom Wanderer, here it is again, so I can pick it now. But I'll pick Prime Speaker Zegana, because if I have fatties, she's going to be a fatty herself, draw me into a ton of cards. Let's see. Oh, Gahiji. This would also be great for aggro strategies. Really make the creatures hit for way more damage. Let's see what I can pick from here. I don't really have a lot of options here. Ruhan is already cheap and it's a fatty, but I'll be a little bit more political. Let me choose this for removal. No one's picking 1996 World Champion. I'll pick it just in case to keep a 5-color commander around, in case there's some really strong black spells that I want to include. And just keep the deck mostly non-black. Maelstrom Wanderer keeps calling out to me, so I'll pick it. Nothing else here really is in my colors because everything is black. So notice it comes to the point where I'm going to have things that are going to be in my sideboard that I might not use, but that's fine. So in this case, I'll just pick Aminatu because I might have maybe a blinking sub-strategy somewhere. Here also, a lot of black cards, so it seems like I'm competing with the AI for black. Well, I don't have any reanimation effects, but I'll probably choose Vadi Ildal just because it has a way of also slight removal. Also nothing here. I'll pick Kenrith also as a potential 5-color commander. If all goes south, then I can at least include whatever cards I want from my sideboard. Also here, I'll pick Darien just to not have too many cards I can't play with. Here, I'm also having to choose something black, so I probably won't pick Brea, but I'll pick maybe Urtai is a good piece for removal. I'll pick X just to take things from my opponent's hands. And Narset, I'm going to be going for a creature-heavy deck, so I'll just pick Narset. Alright, so here so far is the cards that I've drafted, so here's my pool so far. But obviously, we're not going to complete this until we see the rest of the deck. So let's see what else I can build. Let's play test this one. So notice here, you see how it says Color Balanced Custom Draft. That is because, as I mentioned earlier, these packs are going to be seeded, 3 of every color, and then half of the packs are going to be 3 colorless and 2 multicolor, or 2 colorless and 3 multicolor. So let's start the draft. So again, the goal is to have fatties that I can cheat in, so that means that in case I do have to hard cast them, I'm going to try and get as much ramp as I can, whether it's good ramp or bad ramp. So already here we have an amazing card in Caller of the Untamed, because I can basically have any card from my sideboard be here. So this will allow me to quote-unquote break the color identity rule, because I would be able to include any card. So for example, if I make a copy of 1996 World Champion, I can stay non-black and have that. So this will probably be my first pick because this is pretty strong here. Alright, next picks, I wanted to ramp, as I mentioned earlier, so I do have a couple of ramp options. I have Green Weaver Druid, I have Wayfarer's Bauble, I have Tempt with Discovery. Tempt with Discovery is pretty strong, but I also want to be able to have any color, so being able to find for any basic land would be good, so I'm going to go with Wayfarer's Bauble. Ring of Maruf is very good here also because instead of drawing a card, you can basically grab any card from your sideboard, but I'm not really limited in this sense since I am playing a 4-color deck, so I would rather keep ramping and I'll get Faeburrow Elder to take advantage of all the colors in my deck. Other things I might have, I usually have top picks for removal and ramp. I have some solid ramp that I'm going for. I could keep with my aggro strategy and give double strike to my creatures. I might have them draw cards. Drawing is also very important. So I'll probably go for drawing cards first and then go a bit aggro because draw is always important. I could also draw with Soul of the Harvest since it's whenever a non-creature token enters the battlefield, and since I'm cheating in creatures, this would probably be a better choice than potentially Coastal Piracy, since my fatties will probably want to be blocked. This is a great card for getting creatures on the board, but unfortunately it's quadruple red, which is not good for my deck, and it is more for token-based strategies, so I'll probably not take that one. If I am feeding cheating fatties onto the board, I might get a small hand, or I might get really pushed back by a Wrath, so I'll pick Boros Charm just in case there are some Wrath effects. I haven't seen many of them, but the cube does have a couple, so I'll choose Boros Charm for now. Continuing with ramping, let's just choose Green Weaver Druid. Although I can choose Conjurer's Closet to blink cards that I want to keep, and that would actually be a good combo with Soul of the Harvest, so I'll choose this one instead. Notice here, right, the board wipe. So let's just keep doing this. I might want to protect my attackers, since notice that if they're tapped, they have Hexproof. So I might use this to protect against spot removal, although I do have 2 more mana effects. but apparently no one's really running green, so I'll take Croson Restore instead, just to make sure I can pay for my fatties in case I have to cast them. Duelist Heritage is here once again for me, so let's just keep going this way. This will refill my hand, so it's a great card. This one was also really good for filling my hand. Breath of Life is good for reanimating anything, but from here I wanted the Oak Street Innkeeper, which is good protection. Here's a solid removal piece in Bramble Crush. I'll probably choose this one. Here we have Tranquil Light, which destroys all enchantments. Now, I didn't see a lot of enchantments in the deck, so I might not go with this one, but I'll go with Fiend Hunter, which is solid removal, especially if I'm able to blink it or copy it, which is what I want to try and do. Here also, this is great for sinking all that mana into, so if I'm able to ramp into a lot of mana, I'm able to take a lot of damage from 3 opponents, and if they've already been receiving a lot of damage from my creatures, this might finish them. This would probably be good for anything that helps against enchantments that would push me back. I'm not really playing black, so I don't want to grab this one. So far, this is my 16th pick, so this is my pick right here. This is going to enter with 16 +1/+1 counters. So obviously that's going in there. Mirror is pretty interesting, but I'm hope to have more life than anyone else. This is really not a lot of good things for me. I'll probably pick Wall of Shadows just to stop opponents from having it, since it will be good against me, so I'll keep it away from them. This is another good solid removal piece. Supreme Verdict, I might keep it, but probably just in the sideboard, even though I can make my creatures indestructible. And in Garruk's Wake, again, probably a card that I won't include. Alright, so here we have some more solid picks. We have Panoptic Mirror, which I know is banned, but as you can see, there's a whole bunch of crazy things in my cube. But again, I'll go over it in greater detail in the future. Now, this is a good conspiracy if I choose my commander, because then during combat, I can just pay 1 green and give it a +1/+1 counter, so it's pretty strong. You also start the game with it, so this is probably going to be my top pick for this one. Oh, this one also is an amazing top pick. So I'm choosing between this one and Mana, but this one's amazing for an aggro deck like mine, so I'm picking that one. Now, let me check to see how many creatures I have. Now, I have some solid pieces of removal and synergy and some mana, but I do need some other beefy creatures. So let's see if I can get some beefy creatures here. I do want some removal. I can't play the Nephilim. Now, this is good for getting basic lands, which I do need, and if I blink it, that would be good also, or clone it. Stun Double is good for getting any fatty, but let me keep it safe for now and just get any real fatty that I find. Here is some more. Oh, this one also allows me to cheat cards into play, so this was something I want as well. Not a lot of fatties in this one. This one's pretty expensive to cast, and it does give all my creatures hexproof. And Infinity Elemental, hopefully I can cheat it onto the battlefield, so I'll go with this one. Next time around, I'll get that Archetype of Endurance. Sphinx of the Steel Wind, unfortunately, I can't really run it if I keep the Kings. I have here some excellent blockers, but again, I want to go more aggro than anything else. Here's some more more mana acceleration, but I'll go with Meteor Golem just because it is a fatty that I can get onto the battlefield. I did see a Primordial, the red Primordial, so that's pretty good also. I mentioned earlier the Stun Double, so let's get that. Here we have some more cards. Stolen Strategy, an amazing card. I'm torn between that and Return of the Wild Speaker. Let me get some card draw first because that's important. Here, again, Archetype of Endurance, it was there for me. And then from here, we have a board wipe, which I don't really want, but I mentioned the red Primordial, so I'm going to get that also. This is a great card in this case because it returns to my hand in case the creature dies, or if it has to return back to my hand, the Rancor will go to the graveyard and thus return to my hand. Banned Battle Mage can also give Trample to any creature, which is pretty powerful, but for the moment, I'll go with Rancor, although we have here also the Battle Mage, but I'll go with Rancor. Stolen Strategy is here once more for me, so I'll keep that, even though Ajani is also good, so that might be my next pick from this booster. Another way to draw cards. Now, I wasn't able to draft last pick the Coastal Piracy, but whoever drafts this is golden. But I'll get the Armadillo Cloak since it gives Trample and Lifelink, and, well, not Lifelink, old-worded Lifelink, which means that I can have Lifelink and this. Or Magus of the Tabernacle, which is not good for me, so I'll get this one. Back to here, I'll get Sphinx of Magolsi because that gives me a +1/+1 counter. I'll get the Battle Mage from here. Notice that once you have a strategy, it comes pretty easier to get things here. I'll get this hero, which will give me a +1/+1, so it might not seem that relevant, but it is. I'll just get some more ramp here since I don't really want to destroy all my creatures. If I had to choose something between here, I'll probably go with the Nephilim and then Reverberate. So not bad picks. I already see some cards that I won't have that aren't for my particular strategy, but I can keep going. Here we have some more amazing cards. Here we have Ramp, which is Plains. We could start the game with 7 life with this one. Bramble Sovereign, an amazing one. If I cheat a fatty into play, I get a token for it. So I am torn between making my fatties more dangerous, ramping. Here we have some mana acceleration, or the Bramble Sovereign, but the Bramble Sovereign is just so strong, I'll probably get that. We also have card draw here. We have some more mana acceleration here also. Oh, and Pitiless Plunderer is great, but I can't run it. And a board wipe. A couple of board wipes. These might push me back a bit, but fortunately I did draft Boros Charm, so if I see anything that reanimates a bit, I'll probably get that one. Oh, Fastbond is an amazing card. If I'm drawing a ton of cards, that's definitely going to go in. I do have some hero artifacts, and the way this works, I'll discuss it in a future video, but any sticker that would go on this from the Heroes Path Challenge from Theros from 2013, I put the sticker on the sleeve, and then the player can choose the sleeve they want. So Fastbond is probably the one I'm going to go with, and then hopefully Soul's Majesty 6 around or Muldrift just so I can get some draw. The Shredder Elk will help me with advantage. Oh, here's another reanimation effect that I said I wanted. And the Illuminate Primordial, also a fatty. Hopefully I'm able to get most of the cards I want from here. Titanothrax, amazing card to have in this deck, but I would rather reanimate it and cheat it in. Clocknapper, amazing card. I'm going to get this. It steals an opponent's beginning of turn. Three-Headed Goblin has triple strike, so it's amazing with aggro strategies. If I'm able to pump it up and give it lifelink with the Armadillo Cloak, that's a great one for that one. So I'll probably go for that one. I'm not worried too much about mana acceleration now since I did have a couple of cards for mana acceleration. I might get Dreamscape Artist just because it gets me 2 basic lands of any color and it puts them onto the battlefield, so that does help with mana fixing. A bit more than the other mana fixing that's here, even though I can probably blink Knight of the White Orchid, but I'd rather have this one. Grafted Exoskeleton by far will make a fatty very dangerous. No one has seemed to draft it yet. I'll draft this one. From here, we can give our creatures haste when they enter the battlefield, which is good. We can also cast them as if they had flash, but we're not really hard casting them. So for this one, I think I will get Titanothrax because it's good either way, whether I cheat it in or reanimate it. Here, I'll probably go for the ramp since I do need to have different colors. Here, I'll go with this one since it does get me a bunch of life, and if I'm able to equip it for cheap. I'm going to draw a bunch of cards, so I'll definitely choose this one. Hopefully the Primordial is still around. Profound Journey also helps me reanimate in a sense. It is a bit expensive, but I'll go with the Tyrant's Familiar. From other cards here, this is a wheel, so it is good at getting things into my hand. Control, I'm really not going to work that much. This Vivian is great since it distributes counters, but it is a bit uncomfortable to cast at triple green. Mana Barbs is great since it does deal damage. Since I'm getting a bit of life, I might risk it and put this just to bother opponents, even though it's not really the strategy of my deck. But we'll see what happens near the end of the game. End of the draft experience, sorry. Incendiary Descent, it gives fire breathing to any card I'm going to mention. I can probably use that on my commander, which is here. If I decide to go with 1996 World Champions, not really that necessary. But with Kinaios and Tiro, even though they were 2 out of 8, I don't really see it, so I'll probably skip that for now. There's really nothing here. Magus of the Disc might set me back a bit. Primal Command will get a creature into my hand, so that's probably a good one to have. It is a creature tutor. Oh, here it is, the Primordial. I didn't lose it. Here's what I was talking about. Golden Wish. If I have an enchantment that's off color, Golden Wish will allow me to put that into my hand from my sideboard if I cast it during the game. But let's go with the Primordial because that's what my deck is about. I am going to make my creatures get +2 and haste when they enter to make them more dangerous. This one's triple green, but if I do generate enough mana, it might be useful. And then as I mentioned earlier, I'll just keep doing, let's keep digging through the deck. This has a little bit of fire breathing. This one does a couple of damage, so I'll probably go with Clan Defiance. Profound Journey, and this enchantment which I probably can't cast. Alright, so here we have my, so far, the meat of the deck, and here we have also some potential cards that I can put for the deck. But let's choose the mana. So let's play test this. I want anything that is not black. So just like the commanders, I want 20 cards per pack, 4 seeds, and this, unlike the other 2 sections, every single card from the lands is going to be drafted. So I want anything that can give me any color, or at least anything that does not give me black. I have some good choices here. The layers are amazing. I really like the layers here. I have 2 layers for this drop. I also have Vivid Grove, which can give me any color, but Reflecting Pool, which could actually give me any color as long as I have it, so I'll probably have this as my top pick. Gold Mine can also give me any color. Mana Confluence as well. Fabled Passage is also good. Pollyanna would require 2 opponents to choose any color, so as long as nobody noticed that I'm drafting everything that isn't black, this might help out. Since black is a common color, players might say white and red, and that would help me out. Another Vivid Land. But I'll go for Gold Mine just because I have 5 chances of using color and not losing it, but I'll go with Mana Confluence instead to not risk it. Here, I have another Vivid Land, but I can't use that one. So the further you go along, the more you want to try and get what you can. This one's really good, but I have to pay for it, and I do want to accelerate a bit, so I'll get the Vivid Crag, because even though it enters tapped, I don't have to pay for it. Or I can go with Jungle Shrine. I think Jungle Shrine is probably better in this case. Here we have also this one. Exotic Orchard is great because I'm running 4 colors, so it might be possible to get that. Frontier Bivouac is also pretty good, but I'll go with Exotic Orchard, and then after that, probably Gem Bazaar, because I'll get any color I really need 80% of the time. So I'll go with Exotic Orchard, and if the Bazaar comes around, I'll probably pick that one. Here again, the layers. I really love the layers. I'll pick the layer. The layers are also good for resetting the counters on your Vivid Lands. If I were to take any Vivid Lands, the Gold Mine, I was able to get that. That's great. Here we can keep going for some Vivid Lands. I'm going to have a couple of lands enter the battlefield tapped, but that's okay because this is a budget cube. But again, I'm going to discuss my cube in greater detail in a future video. For now, I'm just showing you how easy it is to draft a commander cube if you're able to include cards, or not include cards, sorry, if you draft it in such a way where you take off the pressure to players of what to do. So first I picked my commander. I didn't have to pick my commander up out of other potential cards. And the same with lands. I'm picking these lands very carefully without having to worry about missing out on any cards. So I don't want to have too many lands that enter the battlefield tapped, but I don't want to get color screwed, so I'll get the Meadow. I do want to be able to cast any fatties just in case I do have to hard cast them, so I'll tip that one. I will probably get the Vivid Creek since I have all these Vivid lands. I don't really want Panoramas since I could possibly fetch for any color, and there's really isn't anything here, so I will probably go for the Naya Panorama. And then from here also, I will probably get maybe the Forest here, since it does give me red and white, or Brushland, but I don't really have that many white cards, so I'll get the Forest. So here, more or less, is just more of the same. I don't want to keep bouncing lands. This one does have the potential of entering tapped, but I'll choose it anyways. And then from here on out, we can keep going. These are great lands, but I'll get... I don't really want to bounce anything. I'll just get this one here. And then I'll keep going. I'll get the other Panorama. And then Brushland. And the Panorama in this case would give me a Plains or an Island, so it's not that bad. And Rupture Spire. And then the rest of my deck would be the basic lands. So let's see how you would build the deck. So let's start first with the commander. I'm pretty set on keeping Kinios and Tito as my commander and leaving 1996 World Champion in my sideboard so that I can make a token of it with the card that is around here somewhere. Well, we'll find it later. But the point is that here are the creatures. So with Caller of the Untamed, I will be able to, for just pay 5 generic mana and put a copy of 1996 World Champion. So I will not keep Aminatu. I will have this in my sideboard. Narset, I'm not really going to play. I'm not playing black, so these can go here. I hope to, if I get hit by creatures, I will get tokens, but I think I'll save space for some other cards. Kenrith, I'm not going to use. Maelstrom Wanderer is a fatty that I'm definitely keeping. This is great for politics, but if I do become the arch enemy, I might not be able to take full advantage of her. Gihiji, definitely. Prime Speaker Zagana, well, let me leave Diochan. You never know. Brago, obviously for the blinking value. Alapalani to keep cheating things. Here's to make copies. So far, here's what my deck is looking like. So I have here 12 cards so far, and I want to have 11. Now let's go to the mana fixing lands. So there aren't any mana fixing lands that I really don't want to do without. I usually run between 35 to 37 lands in a deck. Since this deck is going to be pretty beefy, I am going to try and run at least 36 cards in the deck. So in order to keep it balanced, I am going to add 4 of each basic land, and that will give me a land count of 36 lands since I do not have any utility lands. Alright, so here are my 36 lands. So we have 12 creatures, 36 lands. That goes for 48. So I have 52 cards to put in my deck. The heroes and conspiracies do not count towards the deck count because you start the game with conspiracies in the command zone and with heroes on the battlefield. So I'm gonna keep those. These do not count towards my 100, so I still have 52 to choose from. So let's go right off the bat the ones I know I'm not going to play, which is the spells that are black. So let's just quickly go through the black spells to get those out of the way. Here we have this. We're not going to play that. We're not going to play that. Anything else that has black? Let me see. I was pretty fortunate to in this draft to get the colors I wanted, which was not black. I also deprived opponents of at least that wall, which would be a problem. All right, so far we have here a couple of cards left. So we want to choose about 52 cards from here. Alright, so we're going to keep the heroes. We're going to keep this Fast Bond naturally. Anything that draws us cards, we're going to keep. Yaya's Emulating Inferno, we might want to keep that. Seal of Cleansing, I didn't really see any problematic enchantments, but you never know. It is the hardest thing to get rid of. Reverberate, I don't really need it. Cathartic Reunion can stay. Cultivate also, Armadillo Cloak. So all these things. Supreme Verdict, I'm not really worrying about wiping the board. I'm more worried about the board getting wiped, but it is good to at least keep one in the deck just in case. Johnny does make my creatures stronger and gives them villages, so I'll probably keep that. This one maybe not so much. Definitely want to draw cards, steal cards from opponents, so these can stay. Profound Journey just in case. Alright, so all these fatties are going to stay because that's the whole point of the deck, to cheat these in. Especially Infinity Elemental. All these heavy creatures. This one's going to enter with 16 +1/+1 counters. That's crazy. Alright, so far we have a good choice of creatures. Here we have all of our ramp. This is good protection. Here's my removal pieces. Here we can give any creature trample. So if they don't have trample, it is good. I think I'll probably keep it since this does give evasion to my creatures, since it also gives flying. This was a bit difficult to do for mana. This one does require also sinking some mana, so I might not keep this one. I think I have enough mana acceleration. Let's see, I have Wayfarer's Bauble, Fast Bond. What else do I have as far as mana goes? Cultivate. And we have, so far, 3. There really isn't a lot of ramp in the deck, which I was pretty sure I at least got some decent forms of ramp. Clock Napper, if we're able to blink it a bunch of times, it does untap our lands, so but I'm not going to consider that as ramp. 4 with Elder, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I will keep her on because even though it's 3 mana to tap for 1, it's the best we can do in red. I mean, it is a mana dork in red, so we gotta get what we gotta get. Alright, so let's see what we have so far in the deck. So in the deck we have all of these. So there are 2 cards I can actually add. So I could probably add back Mana Barbs and potentially Reverberate if I'm able to copy a ramp spell or any other spell like Clan Defiance or anything like that. I mean, it's not really that ideal, but it does give me 52. Alright, so far we have 52 plus these 12 plus my 36 lands, and here we have my 100 card deck. Now, how can we use this, or what will it look like? Well, we can save the deck so you guys can more or less see how it is that I test this, and then you can export this as a text file, and then you can do the same for this one. just so you guys can also see a little bit of how to use Cube Cobra. This is not really a tutorial of how to use Cube Cobra. This is more of how to draft my Commander Cube and why I feel this is the most ideal way. Because as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to worry about choosing between a commander and other cards. You can choose your commander first, your cards next, and then your lands last. Alright, so in this case here, we are going to want to keep our sideboard, because our sideboard does have cards that we care about, because we do have the creature that has the pseudo wish effect. And then let's put the rest of our sideboard cards there. Alright, let me try and do this as quickly as possible. In any case, I'll try and speed up the video as I'm doing this. And then I'm going to keep all my lands. So all my lands go here. Alright, and here we go. Here is the deck list that we are going to put in Cockatrice. So I'm going to copy everything, open Cockatrice, and then I am going to load deck from clipboard. And here we go. So again, it says 103 because conspiracies don't count, heroes don't count, and here we have the deck I built just now. So here's my main deck. I remember also that the Meletis Kings, they are the commander. And then here we have our sideboard, which is available here. So if we just want to see more or less, let's just give it any name. So let's give it a test. Let's save it. Commander Cube, test. And let's just see how it looks like opening hands, things like that. Alright. So let's just do this quickly. Here we have a test. Alright, so in this case, I do have to look through my deck for this which goes into the command zone, these two which go on the field. Now, Natural Unity does have Hidden Agenda, so unlike what I just did, what you might want to do is just put it face down on the battlefield, because if you drag it here, you're going to see it. But then your card that's secretly chosen, you just flip it over and you reveal it. At least that's how I do it when we play in real life. But this is just an example, so I'll just leave it here. And then let's look for my commander, which is here. Alright, and let's see what we have. So we have a pretty decent hand, since we have a 16-16 with Menace right on the opening hand. We do have some mana advantage. Alright, so let's just play this out a little bit just for fun, just to see what we can get. So here we have, oops, wrong one. So here we have this one. It's going to have 2 counters. And I already have a layer, which I will be able to use to blink, to return this, to bounce this back to my hand, and then put it back to get more counters. So I don't have any 2-drops, so I'll just play Vivid Creek. And then take my next turn. And then this does cast, so I don't have to use that. And then let's get Farhaven Elf. Let's just play a couple of turns. So I have red, blue, so I want green. So let me get a basic forest, put it into play tapped. And then maybe one more hand. Oh, we have Fast Bond. Unfortunately, right, we don't really have any other lands, but we can replay these things that we bounce. So let's play the forest to play Fast Bond. I will bounce it with Treva's Ruins, and then I will have every color to cast my commander. And then if I wanted to, I can just reveal this. Okay, now I have Natural Unity. It's the combat, or before that, notice I can play this, lose a life, tap it, it already has a +1/+1 counter. So this was a pretty good up to the 4th turn. I can attack with it now if I wanted to, exiling this, but there's no point. But this does give another +1/+1 if I wanted to block in the future or something. So I think this is pretty decent. I don't have anything right now to cheat onto the battlefield or anything like that, but I can at least hard cast Gahiji. Thanks to Fast Bond, I'm able to cast Gahiji. I'm also able to get Rift's Grove, bouncing the forest. I can replay the forest and lose a life if I wanted to, but it's not really that necessary, since I can use this to pump Kinios. And then I can go into combat, swing with this, get it +1/+1. If I'm attacking an opponent, it gets +2/+2. So 7 damage by the 5th turn is pretty decent. So that's it for at least this trial run of what it is like to draft my Commander Cube. If you want to see a game in action, you can follow the link above or the link in the description. I'll also try to link that game at the end of the video so that you guys can see in action. Alright, well, at least that's it for you guys seeing how it is to more or less draft the cube. So let's go back to the episode. Hopefully this video was helpful in illustrating a decent starting point for anyone considering building a Commander Cube. Drafting my cube with my playgroup has been super fun, and it has provided some insane games and interactions that would otherwise be impossible with constructed decks. As of the recording of this video, I have released at least one gameplay video from a cube session, but hopefully I can make some more in the future. I have way more topics to cover in greater detail and depth for this mini-series, so stay tuned. I would like to thank all my patrons for supporting me, and a quick shout out to all my higher tier patrons, the Brewers, for their patronage. And to everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Commander Cube Draft on the Commander Tavern. I am the Kirby, and happy drafting.